Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me here in my man cave, where I've managed to put together over the many years lots of the plaques and memorabilia that we generated and accumulated, which gives the story of the association over the years. We started collecting when Joy and I came back from overseas in 1970, and we ran into a group of very enthusiastic flyers led by a fellow by the name of Barry Bell, who were running around Victoria in a whole lot of old aeroplanes. These aeroplanes are mostly tiger moths and osters, and a few odd types as well, but we were thinking in 1972 that we should form a club of some sort. There were a couple of small clubs available elsewhere, but they weren't really doing much, and so we convened a meeting out at Fogarty's Field, which is Melton, and we decided to see if the name Antique Aeroplane Association of Australia was available, and to look towards getting this registered and what was involved. Well, we didn't do much because it's a lot easier to ignore bureaucracy than it is to mix with it, and we were a little bit along the way when in 1973 the Whitlam government decided to increase air navigation charges by 50%. Well, that rather incensed Barry and got us going, and I found out that the regional director of the Civil Aviation Authority was able to recommend to Treasury that some air navigation charges could be waived or changed if necessary. So we arranged for Barry and a small team to go and see the regional director and explain to him that our old aeroplanes were not used for commercial purposes, they were only private, they were maintained by young fellows, and there was no sense in their navigation charges being increased that much, and it was going to affect the historical collections around the place. So the regional director listened to them and said, yes, I can see there is a reason for antique aeroplanes to be exempt in some way, but you're going to have to form yourself into a registered association and get that going, and also join with the members of the department to define what an antique aeroplane was and what sort of concession we were willing to give to be able to get a 50% reduction in charges. They were due to come in 1970, at the end of 1974. So consequently we really got going and wrote letters to all the owners in Australia and said, should we? They said yes, and we got going in a big way then, formed the association. We made big strides with our liaison with the department and managed to get them to recommend to Treasury that the charges be restricted to what they were just before the increases came in 1974, and that we would be limited to 50 hours flying per year, which most of you know that 50 hours is a lot if you're married with kids and working, and it's a lot of time in the air. Although initially we were a little bit sceptical about it. There were a few other requirements. You couldn't be allowed to use the aircraft for commercial purposes, etc., etc. But really it was the impetus of the increase in air navigation charges that led to the formation of the association. By 1974, all the paperwork was through. We were a company limited by guarantee, and we still are. We had to have a committee of 12, etc., 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 and it's much the same today, except that, of course, the definitions have changed. So there we are, that's how it started, and it's rather nice for me to think that after 50 years I'm still here, and I do know a lot of you people who are out there today still members of the Antique Aeroplane Association of Australia. Thank you very much.